Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about my '69 Dodge Charger. This little car behind me, known as the General Lee. The 01 on the first couple of cars, the 1 is actually at an angle. They lined it up with the body line and not actually square to the ground. So insert a photo right here of the crooked 01, and then we'll talk a little bit about the flag. So I'm going to come up here. On the first few cars, the General Lee was from basically the window to here, and it's not actually a font, it's actually hand lettered written on. So this was a graphic. There's not a font that will make this these letters. And also on the flag, because it was hand painted, again, these were old cars. I think they were 10 years old when they were filming the show. The sign painter would actually stand on the door sill of the passenger side and paint on the stars. So the correct way that the flag is, all the stars point towards the driver's side. I've seen other General Lees and I think even John Schneiders. The stars are crooked, but they don't point towards the driver's door where they should. Again, on the earlier cars, 1/2-inch tape. Sometimes they were even like hockey tape just to make the white tape. Dark blue, navy blue, and navy blue. Later cars, it was like baby blue in there. The exact measurements were taken off of Lee 1. Travis Bell found that car down in Georgia, sanded down the original paint, found, not the original paint, the green paint from the '71 Richard Petty race car, exposed the flag and all the dimensions of the letters, and I had those replicated by my sign guy. 01s, however, were decals, decals as the US would call them, and sometimes the 01 would be forward and the 1, well, both of them would be pulled forward on the door. The movie cars, it's actually probably, maybe 2 or 3 inches away from the door handle, so it's centered in the middle of the car. I like mine a little bit more forward look. And I'm going to insert a photo right now. Lee 1, and I think even one of the Lee 2 or Lee 3, the top of the 1 would be lined up to this body line. So it would actually have been sitting at a bit more of an angle. So mine are actually done in vehicle wrap, so they're quite shiny, whereas the original ones were done in just straight up flat black and white vinyl. The color on the original 3 General Lees were a rendition of Corvette Orange Flame. It's a little brighter orange than this, but on the General Lee, Travis Bell did a paint swatch, and I'll see if I can show a couple of different colors of the car. I'll insert the photos right now. It shows up different on camera. So the Corvette Orange Flame that they found in Lee 1 had a little bit more black and a little bit more red in the pigment. So it's a little bit of a darker red than like the Hugger orange kind of look. On the back, what makes it specific as the Georgia era is the cross flags, which is a very nice detail, and the Archer teardrop base antenna from Radio Shack. And mine has the original fiberglass whip. These ones were used on the first, I don't know, probably 3 seasons, but it's not magnetic. It actually bolts to the trunk, so it fits way better. On the quarter panel of mine, on the original Lee 1, the gas cap ring is missing, so this trim ring is gone. The chrome trim is on from the vinyl roof, which I think all of the cars came with vinyl roofs. And on Lee 1, there was a chrome rocker panel molding. That original car would have also had chrome wheel well moldings. What happened is the Lee 1, this fender got hit, broke this trim ring. They used sheet metal screws to reattach the fender at the top and then in the door. And underneath that rocker molding, they just screwed the new fender on. So I'll insert a photo of the crashed green car right now, showing how back here it was broken off. The trim ring is missing. You can actually see the body panel overlaying this. So you can actually see that the panel was pretty hastily repaired. And because that was damaged, the chrome trim ring was then removed. In later episodes, the trim ring comes and goes, just depending on what the car had. They're actually kind of a I don't know, a B to get off. So looking at the wheels, my rims on the front are 15 by 7. The original General Lee had 14-inch by 8.5. So if we look at the kind of side profile of mine, this isn't that deep, 8.5, it's a little deeper. I'll just go to the back wheel. This is a 15 by 8.5, so it's got a bit thicker dish to it. And these are 18-inch. I like the white letter tires, so that's what I have on mine. The original car would have had Winston Winners, and it would have been like a F78 14. It's just cheap tires that that the studios would get. Going inside to the roll bar, this is the 3-point roll bar, actually installed backwards. That cross member right here should be going to protect the driver, not the passenger side. But as I have the car, I actually was hitting my head on it, so I know now why they turned that around. Saddle tan interior, which is a lot of the original cars had, and later on they actually just spray painted whatever color they were. The Cobra 78X is what the original General Lee 1 had as a CB radio. They stopped making those in 1975, so the closest thing I can find is a Cobra 77X. Mopar wood grain steering wheel. This is all my original instrument cluster, refaced the gauges, but everything else is all the original stuff. One more thing I forgot about the wheels. The Carroll Shelby center cap on the American Racing wheel. These are the reproductions, of course. These are CNC machined. The originals ones would have been sand cast, and there would have been texture in the recesses of the spokes, and then they machined the surface. The Carroll Shelby center caps back in the day, those would have been magnesium racing wheels for the IMSA race cars. So I think they just put the caps on back in the day, but I have them because that's the way the original one had it. So in later episodes, they ended up just not even using that center cap. They would just leave it open. This is where we find the serial number, and on Lee 1, Lee 2, and Lee 3, right here, there was a Dymo, typo, whatever, label maker that would say Lee 1 or Lee 2 or Lee 3. These are the original windshield wipers. On repops, these are shiny stainless, but on the originals, they were more of the matte stainless finish. Also on mine, from Lee 1, the Los Angeles Southwest College window sticker I had replicated from my sign guy. So as accurate as Lee 1 is, it has that sticker. Bubba Watson actually has the one on his because he has Lee 1. So this roll bar is actually a Lee 3 style. Lee 1 and Lee 2 had the full roll cage, which basically had bars coming up and down to the floor. And if you remember seeing it, it actually didn't even have a back seat in it because the roll bar down bars would come back down there. So my General Lee has the narrow push bar with 2.5-inch exhaust tubing as the crossbars, and it actually bolts up to the bumper right there. This is an original General Lee license plate that is a repop from Celebrity Machines. Travis Bell's remaking those. I really like the side profile of this push bar. This is something that you would find in like a JC Whitney catalog or something, and those little tabs that we're actually using to hold the bumper on, I believe, were initially up here to hold on your KC highlighters or something like that, some kind of fog light. And you would see these on the 70s on little mini trucks like little Datsuns, or even on like Chevy K5 Blazers and whatnot. So it's basically a light bar. It's bolted onto the bumper, but it's not super rigid. They later on went to the full wide push bar, but what happens is that wide push bar comes out to about here, and when you have the high beams on or whatever, it hides this middle high beam light. So and it was actually a functional push bar. We actually welded it down to the subframe right down here. So it basically goes straight off the frame up into the upright. So one other thing is, everybody says, oh, are the doors welded shut? Actually, on none of these cars were the doors ever welded shut. For safety reasons, they never welded any of the doors. So mine aren't welded either. How solid is that? Gonna pop the hood. Looking under the hood, there's a little bit of chrome in here. The original ones had some chrome valve covers. Insert photo here. And this is a Hemi style brake booster with like a GM Corvette style master cylinder, because I did a disc brake upgrade. Edelbrock Performer high-rise manifold. Dished in air cleaner. They stopped making these in the 80s because of, now that I have one, I know why. If this gets wet, water comes in, goes in the carb, and chokes it out. So they stopped making these, but the original General Lee close-up car, season 3 I think it was, has this air cleaner. It also had chrome hood springs, and this panel was actually chrome plated as well. And I don't know if we see the horns in that one. I guess we'll see, and I'll type it on the screen when we see it in a minute. But none of the cars had the horn set up. It was all added in post-production. But the one car that was a close-up car, the water bottles right here, because it gets so hot under the hood, these used to deteriorate. So mine's nice and white. Most of them are yellow and funky. This is where they stuck the horns on the one car that actually had horns in it. I think you might have seen it in one episode. I'm not even sure. So if we're going to do a tip-to-tail inspection of the outside of the car, what we have is the narrow first generation push bar. We have the American Racing Vector wheels, Carroll Shelby center caps with the acorn nuts, not the domed type. BF Goodrich tires. The movie cars use 235 60 15s. I got 245s. They're just a little thicker, and white letters out because I like it. 01 on the door, 19 inches tall, and installed straight, not at an angle. We have the first generation, they call them the Georgia Lees, flag on the roof, and the General Lee logos on the side. Inside, the 3-point roll bar like Lee 3. The correct CB radio, Cobra 77X. Screen used cars were using a 78X, but very similar. We have the cross flags and the Archer teardrop base antenna with the fiberglass whip. Insert photo of where you see these flags. And I think it was at the end of with the orphans in the back, there's a little redhead kid spitting on the glass. They actually have the flags were on one piece of clear sticker. It was removed and then put back on in reverse. The checker flag is on this side. And I'll post that one right here too. We're beside the other one. Of course, the correct 69 taillights. And under the trunk lid, John Schneider, keep it between the ditches. Fort Percy, lots of love. Catherine Bach. P.S. Great job. Love, Daisy. Rad, the king of skate parks himself, Eddie Fiola. He jumped the General Lee 75 feet in the Dukes of Hazzard movie. And Tom Wopat signed it as well, Luke Duke. And honorable mention, we met Cooter before we even had the general release, so he signed this hat to Krista, my wife.